So I found this story on YouTube and I want to show you guys what the story is all about. This is so going to be interesting.
I
All
built
right. Now let us go into the story fully. Let us see what is happening in the story.
this empire. Today, I take it back. I'm a tech entrepreneur.
The first thing I like is the introduction. The hook is very, very captivating and it's one of the things that drew me into the video. Alright, so this is a very powerful story of a woman who cheated on her husband. Let us see what is happening in this story.
Who built an AI company called Quantum Dynamics from scratch. Started coding in my college dorm, developed revolutionary machine learning algorithms, secured dozens of patents, the whole founder journey. My wife Jessica became the public face of the company over time. She was naturally charismatic, brilliant with investors and media, while I preferred staying behind the scenes handling the actual technology.
One thing about women who are actually very smart is that they are easily noticeable by other men. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. When you have somebody who is very smart as a wife, other guys will see them as being smart too. Definitely, she will be a prey to other guys. But if and only if she is not into all of this, she doesn't want to do all of that, then you are lucky. But if she's the type that wants to flirt, that wants to be with other guys as well, then you are doomed. Honestly. Let's see where this story is headed. The man is the one behind the company, while the wife is the face of the company. I hope you understand this.
Development and business operations. Think of it like Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, except Wozniak's wife was getting all the recognition while he remained completely invisible to the public. For context, I own 91% of Quantum Dynamics and had been funding Jessica's increasingly extravagant lifestyle for years.
He owns 91%. I already like where this is going. Let us continue.
We're talking $38,000 monthly allowance, designer everything from Paris and Milan, first class travel worldwide, spa treatments costing more than most people's annual salaries, personal trainers charging lawyer level fees, and enough luxury goods to stock a small department store. The company was valued around $295 million, and I genuinely believed we were building this empire together as equal partners. Last September, I got trapped in an absolutely crucial investor meeting that dragged on until nearly 10 p.m. Some heavyweight venture capitalists from Tokyo had flown in specifically to discuss our Series C funding round. We're
One thing about women is that when you give them all the money, when you give them all the money, they will still cheat on you. They will still cheat on you because of the lack of attention. Now, if you listen, this guy is actually sponsoring the lifestyle of his wife, all right? But this time around, he is end up in a meeting in Tokyo. This is the beginning of the downfall of their marriage. Let us proceed.
talking about a potential $75 million injection that could triple our valuation overnight. You don't just walk out on that kind of life-changing opportunity, even for your wife's birthday. Jessica's celebration had started at 8 p.m. at the prestigious Meridian Grand Ballroom downtown. This ridiculously expensive venue that I'd personally dropped $52,000 to book for the entire evening. Crystal chandeliers hanging from 20-foot ceilings, marble floors polished to surgical precision, doormen who looked like they moonlighted as Secret Service agents. The kind of place where Manhattan's elite pretend they're royalty for a few hours. I kept obsessively checking my Rolex during the investor presentation, knowing I was missing Jessica's party. But these Tokyo investors were discussing numbers that could change our company's trajectory forever. I figured I'd show up fashionably late with the vintage Cartier necklace I'd commissioned specifically for her, cost more than most people's cars, and smooth everything over with my usual charm and apologies.
This, this is going so much. This is going too much. This guy is doing too much. Well, I believe cultures and tradition is different, I believe that people in the America would actually try to make up to their wife when they have actually um, done something that is not right. All right, and I believe this is what is happening right now. Let us continue.
When I finally pulled up to the venue in my Tesla around 10:20 p.m., something felt immediately and fundamentally wrong. People were streaming out of the building like they were evacuating a fire drill, but they all looked euphoric, laughing and chatting like they'd just experienced the social event of the season. I checked my phone repeatedly. It was barely past 10 p.m. Jessica's social circle typically partied until the cleaning crews started giving them aggressive, dirty looks around 3 a.m., sometimes later. That's when I encountered Miranda Blackwell, one of Jessica's society friends, strutting past me in a dress that probably cost more than my monthly Tesla payment. She had this particular smirk that wealthy women perfect at exclusive Swiss boarding schools, the kind that says, I know something devastating that you don't, and I'm going to enjoy watching you discover it. Well, well, well. Look who finally decided to grace us with his presence, she announced loudly enough for her entire entourage to hear, her voice dripping with weaponized fake sweetness. How perfectly on brand for you, always showing up late to everything that actually matters. Her little group of followers giggled like she'd just delivered a Tony Award-winning comedic performance, clearly in on some joke that I was apparently the punchline of. My stomach dropped faster than our company's stock price during the March 2020 crash. I pushed through the revolving glass doors into the opulent lobby and immediately spotted Jessica, standing near the marble pillars. She looked absolutely breathtaking in this liquid silver metallic dress that caught the ballroom's crystal chandelier light like mercury, which
That is it. When well, let's go. I don't want to talk now. Don't let me just talk now. Don't let me talk now. Don't let me say anything now. Let's continue.
somehow made what happened next even more psychologically devastating. She was intimately holding hands with Brandon Stone, supposedly just her marketing director, and supposedly just a professional colleague. You know the exact type. Perfectly styled hair that probably required daily professional maintenance, a jawline that could have been carved by Michelangelo, the kind of effortlessly handsome guy who makes other men instinctively question their life choices and genetic lottery results. When Jessica spotted me approaching across the lobby, I swear to God she actually smirked with what looked like satisfied anticipation. Not smiled apologetically or looked surprised or embarrassed or guilty. She smirked like she'd been waiting for this exact moment for weeks, maybe months. Oh, honey, she said with this fake maternal concern that women deploy like precision-guided missiles right before they detonate your entire existence.
Ah, I won't say anything yet. Let us continue.
Didn't you get my text message? You weren't actually invited to tonight's celebration? I immediately pulled out my iPhone and started frantically scrolling through our entire text message history, like some desperate detective searching for breadcrumbs of his own marriage.
When you are in a marriage and you are starting to feel that something is not right, always trust your gut that something is not right. Always and always and always again. Something is not right. Let us continue.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing since yesterday morning when she'd reminded me to pick up her dry cleaning from that ridiculously expensive boutique place that charges $250 per garment and makes you feel grateful for the privilege. Brandon stepped forward confidently, practically preening like a peacock who just discovered he possessed the most magnificent tail feathers in the entire zoo. Sorry, man, he said with a grin that suggested he was about as genuinely sorry as a lottery winner apologizing for their incredible good fortune. But tonight's exclusively for Jessica's real friends and actual supporters. Real friends, real supporters. These were people I'd been networking with for years, buying drinks for at charity galas, sharing lucrative business opportunities with, facilitating introductions that had made them serious money. The Richardsons, whose construction company had landed a $2 million contract directly through connections I'd personally made. The Washingtons, who I'd personally recommended for membership at the exclusive Hillcrest Country Club, where they now spent every single weekend.
Always exclusive. Exclusive this, exclusive that. Let's continue.
Even that insufferably pretentious investment banker whose name I couldn't remember, but whose summer house in the Hamptons was almost certainly financed by deals I'd thrown his direction over the years. Jessica adjusted her purse, a limited edition Hermes Birkin bag I'd bought her for our 7th anniversary, and took Brandon's muscular arm like they were posing for some twisted alternate universe engagement announcement photo. Thanks for covering all the expenses, though, she added with casual indifference, like she was thanking me for holding an elevator door or picking up a dropped napkin. The floral arrangements were absolutely gorgeous, and that Dom Perignon champagne made everything feel so much more sophisticated and elegant. That's when the full, devastating magnitude of the situation crystallized in my mind like ice forming in my veins. This wasn't some spontaneous decision or moment of poor emotional judgment. This was meticulously orchestrated, carefully planned, deliberately executed psychological warfare. She had knowingly allowed me to finance the entire elaborate celebration. Venue rental, gourmet catering, designer floral arrangements, premium bar service, live jazz ensemble, while fully intending to publicly humiliate me in front of literally everyone we knew socially and professionally.
Well, I am grateful that this guy is able to read along with the action that is unfolding. When you have a woman who is very, very smart, who could do anything to run you down, just me. Let's continue. Let's just continue.
I was like some completely unwitting financial sponsor of my own social execution, a betrayed man bankrolling his own public emasculation. Brandon leaned in and whispered something in Jessica's ear that made her laugh with genuine, delighted closeness, the same authentic laugh she used to give me back when we were first building the company together in our tiny studio apartment, back when we were actually partners instead of whatever this toxic, parasitic arrangement had gradually devolved into over the years. They brushed past me like I was completely invisible, just another piece of expensive lobby furniture, like I was nobody special despite literally paying for everything they'd just enjoyed. The absolute worst part wasn't even the humiliation or the betrayal or the financial exploitation. The worst part was that I didn't say anything meaningful in response, didn't demand explanations, didn't ask why, didn't express what I really thought about their elaborate theatrical performance. I just stood there like a complete idiot, watching my wife of 8 years walk away with another man after spending my hard-earned money on a party I wasn't permitted to attend.
Have you ever been cheated on before? I have. And I know how it felt like. You see, betrayal stings into the bone. It stings into your skin, into your bones. It pains you to the core. And it's kind of funny right now because when you remember it, excuse me, when you remember it, you'll be like, it will just be funny to you. Now look at this lady. After everything this guy has done, after everything, she still left with another man. Let's go on. Let's continue.
Part of my brain was screaming at me to do something, say something, make some kind of scene that would at least preserve a microscopic shred of my dignity. Instead, I turned on my heel and walked away with as much composure as I could manage. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to give people the reaction they're desperately expecting and probably hoping for. I drove home through the neon-lit Manhattan streets, feeling something cold and calculating brewing in my chest that wasn't quite anger and wasn't quite sadness. Something that reminded me exactly why I'd been so ruthlessly effective at building a multi-million-dollar company from absolutely nothing in the first place. My penthouse apartment felt like a crime scene when I walked in just after midnight. I went directly to my home office, unlocked the biometric security drawer in my custom Italian desk, and pulled out a thick black leather portfolio labeled Corporate Assets and Financial Documentation. I'd been obsessively maintaining this comprehensive file for years, updating it quarterly like some paranoid accountant preparing for corporate warfare. And suddenly, I was incredibly grateful for my meticulous attention to finance.
Once you are a man who is making it big in whatever field you find yourself. It is always better that you keep record of everything that you do, everything that you have. Keep record of it and keep it safe where only you can access it as long as you live. Alright? And I'm grateful for this guy because he has been able to do the same thing. He has been able to actually achieve the same thing. Let's go on with the story. Let's see what he's able to do with these files.
Detail. I spread the contents across my mahogany desk like I was dealing cards for the world's most expensive and consequential poker game. Corporate structure documents definitively showing I owned 91% of Quantum Dynamics. Original patent filings proving I had personally created all the core artificial intelligence technology. Financial records meticulously documenting every single transfer I'd made to Jessica's personal accounts over the past 4 years. We're talking about $183,000 per month in living expenses that somehow included weekly spa treatments, costing more than most attorneys' hourly rates, a personal trainer who charged more than most consultants, and enough designer clothing to stock an entire Nordstrom department. Then there were the travel receipts that read like a diary of financial excess. First-class flights to Paris, Milan, Tokyo, always booked for 2 people. Hotel suites at 4 Seasons and Ritz-Carlton properties that cost more per night than most people's monthly rent. Private jet rentals for weekend getaways that Jessica insisted were absolutely essential for networking and business development. I'd been bankrolling her lifestyle like some kind of financial sugar daddy, while she apparently planned to completely erase me from both our shared business and our marriage. But the real...
Let us look at the order of today. Checking out the order of today. Look at the story of big men in America. People who have money in America. When you are sustaining your family, you are building for you and your family to not lack. Then you see that your wife is the enemy that comes against you. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Why is it that most ladies actually get their weight from divorce? Think about that. This is what this lady is trying to do. She's trying to wreck this guy to get his properties only for herself alone. Remember that this guy controls 91% of his shares, so meaning that the remaining 9% goes to the wife, right? Let's go on with the story.
Masterpiece was tonight's humiliation party invoices. Every single expense meticulously documented and categorized because that's exactly how you run a successful business. And apparently, how you run a marriage when your spouse treats both like their personal unlimited treasury. Venue rental, $52,000. Gourmet catering, $28,000 for food I wasn't allowed to consume. Designer floral arrangements, $11,000 for decorations that would be garbage by tomorrow morning. Premium bar service, $19,000 for top-shelf booze I wasn't permitted to drink. Live jazz ensemble, $8,000 for entertainment I couldn't enjoy. I pulled out my calculator and started adding everything up. $118,000. Nearly $120,000 for the privilege of being publicly dumped and humiliated by my own wife in front of half of Manhattan's social and business elite. I opened my laptop and began navigating through our company's corporate banking systems with the focused determination of a surgeon performing a life-saving operation. This was where the serious money lived and breathed. Operational funds, investor capital, payroll accounts, development budgets.
Exactly.
The primary operational account contained $186 million, representing years of grinding 18-hour days, surviving boardroom battles that would make Game of Thrones look like a children's tea party, and convincing skeptical investors that our AI technology would genuinely revolutionize how machines process and understand information. First strategic target, Jessica's upcoming romantic getaway to Bora Bora. 2 weeks at an exclusive private resort scheduled for next month, reservation booked under Jessica Stone and Brandon Stone. They'd already started sharing his surname like some kind of alternate reality power couple. Total cost, $147,000 for what the detailed booking notes described as a romantic celebration and bonding retreat for 2.
Let's go on. Let's go with the story.
I clicked the cancellation button with the same deep satisfaction most people get from popping bubble wrap or peeling protective plastic off new electronics. Next tactical move, I systematically stopped payment authorization on every single party vendor. The catering company, floral designers, venue management, jazz ensemble, security services, every invoice related to tonight's elaborate disaster. The banking system politely asked if I was absolutely certain I wanted to forfeit all deposits and incur potential penalty fees. I had never been more certain of anything in my entire adult life. Then came what military strategists would call the nuclear option. I navigated to the advanced fund management controls and systematically froze every major operational account in our corporate structure. 100
Exactly. This guy is taking revenge the right way. And I kind of like it. Not even kind. I love this. Let's go on with the story.
$86 million suddenly became completely inaccessible to everyone except me, the primary account holder with administrative privileges. The system automatically logged this action and sent immediate automated emergency notifications to all authorized users, which meant Jessica's phone was about to start exploding with urgent alerts about frozen accounts, failed payment processing, and suspended financial operations. While the system processed these changes, I poured myself 3 generous fingers of 25-year-old Macallan single malt and raised a solitary toast to my empty penthouse. Here's to learning the fundamental difference between being married to someone and actually owning them, I said aloud, because sometimes you need to hear your own voice to believe what you're doing is real.
Exactly.
My iPhone started vibrating almost immediately with the intensity of a small earthquake. Text messages, missed calls, voicemails pouring in like digital rainfall.
Now that she realized her wrong, now that she realized that she's been treated, she's been given the same bitterness being given the same thing back. She now started doing what? Let's continue.
Emma's name flashing like a neon emergency signal, followed by Brandon's number, then various company executives who were probably having cardiac episodes in their Park Avenue offices. I turned the phone face down on my desk and took another satisfying sip of whiskey, watching the city lights twinkle 42 floors below. The next morning brought what could only be described as a complete digital apocalypse. 63 missed calls in the 5 hours I'd managed to sleep. Jessica had called 21 times, Brandon 14 times, our chief financial officer 18 times, and various board members whose actual job descriptions I'd never been entirely clear about, but who apparently became very concerned when hundreds of millions of dollars suddenly became inaccessible. I made myself Ethiopian coffee that cost more per pound than most people spend on weekly groceries and settled into my morning routine like it was any other peaceful Thursday. Shower with expensive Italian soap, perfect shave, check the international markets, read the Wall Street Journal, pretend that I wasn't currently engaged in sophisticated financial warfare with my own spouse. Around 11:30 a.m., my building's doorman called to inform me that a very distressed young woman was in the lobby claiming she worked for Mrs. Anderson and desperately needed to speak with me about an emergency situation. 5 minutes later, there was frantic.
I hope you understand them. Let's proceed.
Pounding on my door, like someone was trying to beat it down with their bare fists. When I opened it, I found Rebecca Chen, Jessica's personal assistant, looking like she'd been fed through an industrial paper shredder and then hastily reassembled by someone who'd lost the instruction manual. Her usually immaculate hair was completely disheveled. Her designer blouse was wrinkled beyond recognition, and she had the kind of dark circles under her eyes that suggested she'd been managing some kind of corporate catastrophe all night long. "Mr. Anderson, thank God you're actually here," she gasped like she'd just completed a triathlon instead of simply taking the elevator up 42 floors. "Everything is complete and total chaos, absolute, certifiable, end-of-the-world insanity." She pushed past me into the apartment, which would normally be incredibly rude, but these weren't exactly normal circumstances by any reasonable definition. "The entire company is completely paralyzed," she said, turning to face me with wild-eyed desperation. "Payroll processing is frozen solid. The major investor presentation got canceled because we can't access any project budgets. And half the department heads are threatening to quit because their operational funds are completely locked down. I poured myself another cup of coffee, taking my deliberate time with the cream and sugar while she watched with growing anxiety. Sounds like a management problem to me, Rebecca. The corporate credit card got declined at Starbucks, she continued, like this was somehow the most tragic and embarrassing element of the entire situation. Jessica sent me to get coffee for the emergency board meeting, and her Platinum American Express got declined buying a